All right, so this class is about pressure points. It's kind of like the one that we had before, but it's a little bit more intimate, which is nice. I think we'll get a lot more out of it. Ideally, what we want to do is we want to kind of transcend what we know as punching, kicking, and blocking, and kind of look at the other side of the equation where we're looking at our opponent. And our opponent is kind of like, if we can understand that and how to break it down and manipulate that, then we're better off as martial artists. Now, as an aside, I want to kind of talk a little bit about Eastern and Western medicine, because it's kind of based off of that, where the Eastern medicine has been around a lot longer than Western medicine, where the Eastern medicine looks at the full body, the energetics of the body. And basically, we have what we call meridians that run through our body in a constant fashion, 24/7. Where where the lung comes down here, it comes up triple warmer, and then it comes down the stomach, and it works its way through our body on a constant basis. Some parts of the day, some are weaker than others, but at this point, it doesn't matter for what we're using it for. Now, the body is broken up in 14 meridians. 2 of them are center, governing conception in the front, governing in the back, and then the other 12 are bilateral, and they deal with the organs. And that's kind of like what we're looking for. And we kind of look at it as like a roadmap to the pressure points.
In other words, whatever's on the left is on the right? Or
Right. One side affects the other side. So when you hit one side, it also affects the other side as well. Okay?
The meridians, they're identical meridians?
They're identical meridians, that's why we call it bilateral. It's exactly the same on each side of the body. Okay? Now, when we look at when someone treats it, they usually use what we know mainly as acupressure, acupuncture, and they kind of go in a certain way with the needles to cure something. But we're kind of using them in a different way. Now, when we talk about Western medicine, it's a little different. They're more evidence-based, where they're trying to deal with, what's the problem? They kind of like treat it like a car. Need brakes, change the brakes. It's kind of like that concept. And a simple an explanation when I was used earlier was if you have a headache, there's 2 points on the eye, gallbladder 1 and triple warmer 23. You just kind of flick them forward. Usually, if somebody does it to you, it works better than you trying to do it to yourself. So that's one way of getting rid of a headache that's in the front of your head. Okay? Anybody have a headache? I did earlier, but I had a little coffee.
What did you do yesterday?
Yeah, where were you yesterday, right? But in Western medicine, evidence-based shows that after so many millions of people have had a headache, what do they typically do? Yeah, take these 2 aspirin, right? So they treat it with a pill instead of using the natural energy of the body, okay? So that's the difference. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to manipulate that where it's to our benefit, where we're looking at the human body and like, all right, how can we exploit the weaknesses of the human body? So what we're doing is we're using those pressure points as a roadmap to try to get around and really take advantage of that. Okay? So getting back to what we were talking about is the 3 things that we're looking at is the energetics, which is the meridian flow of the body, the neurology, which is the nerve endings, tendons, and so forth, and also the skeletal mechanics, where if our joint is bent in a certain position and it goes too far, what happens? It breaks, all right? So what we're doing is we're trying to exploit that. Now, what the beauty of all this is that the same direction that you attack a pressure point is the exact same direction that you would attack a joint, or the weakness of the joint. So it's all built in, and that's what's so great about it, is that when you aim for the point and hit it in the right direction, you're also going against the mechanical part of the body too. So, and it's all integrated, so then that's what makes it great. And the stuff that we do in our kata, we can actually apply it because it's part of what we do. So when we do these motions here, and like in uechi-ryu, we're actually hitting points. We're not thinking about it, but we are hitting those points. So it's up to us to kind of like take it beyond what we think it is or what we've been told it was. Okay? So that's ideally what we're trying to do today. So we're going to really touch on that. Now, the most common one, hold your arm out like this. The most common one that we do here is large intestine 10, which is right here on the muscle of the arm here. You feel right in there. You feel it. You're just kind of squeezing it. You kind of feel it. It's a little, you know, a little tender there. And once you push on it, you'll feel it. Like, oh yeah, there it is, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of work on that where we're able to start there at that point. And then what we can do, we can expand on that. So, that being said, I know a little bit about this, but I probably know a tenth of what this gentleman knows. This is my instructor of impression points. His name is Matthew Brown. He actually tested his 10th down. He's a Grandmaster now in Kyusho Jiu-Jitsu, Rupa Kempo, and he brought one of his students, Kevin Backschratch. Yeah.
You'll get it.
So he's going to actually help us out today. And we got a nice small crowd, so there's 3 of us that can help you out. So I'm going to turn the floor over to him, and I'll inject when I need to. Thank you, sir.
All right, so yeah, we'll work off that point with large testing 10. So it's interesting because it's one of the first points we teach because we teach it to do what we call single point revival, and it's also a revival point for the lungs. It's kind of interesting because there's a flip side of the point of all the stuff we're learning. It's healing, so you also learn how to heal people at the same time. So this point is really good for if somebody's having an asthma attack. Literally, if they're having an asthma attack, punch it. And it will restart the lungs, so it affects the lungs. And you're like, wait a minute, how can something on the arm affect your lungs? Okay? Well, if I have arm herpes, okay? You can just relax. Your radial nerve connects to your brachial plexus up here. Your brachial plexus connects to your phrenic nerve, which controls your diaphragm. That's how it resets your lungs. Okay, so you can trace the nerve to know exactly what you're doing, okay? The meridians predominantly cover nerves, but they also cover connective tissue in the body. There's been a lot of recent research that's been put out there that the connective tissue in the body has a transmission to the brain like the nerves do. Okay, so think of it as like your secondary nervous system. So some of the points we use are on these. Like a good example, we talk a lot about something called gallbladder 20, which is here at the base of your skull. And we used to teach that it was the lesser occipital nerve. It's not. Okay? There's a muscle right here called your splenius capitis muscle, and it connects to the top of your skull right here, the connective tissue right here. It's responsible for keeping your head up. If I were to cut that, your head would go like this, right? So your body intuitively knows that, so it will protect it. Okay? That's what we're doing. We're using the body's natural defense mechanisms and how it reacts. That's what they did. They mapped this out, especially during katas, they mapped it out. A lot of times, one of the things we find is sometimes when you do a specific kata bunkai on the person will mirror what you're doing. Because that can also sometimes be the counter to the movement. So the body kind of intuitively knows. They put their knowledge of anatomy and acupuncture and bone setting and all these other things into this art. I mean, a lot of them were, that's what their trade was. And so we can use that to our advantage, okay? The point that we're using large intestine 10 is actually the radial nerve, okay? Anything from the thumb to the elbow on that side of the arm controls your ability to make a fist, which means it controls your ability to grab. Because when you grab something, you have to make a fist around it, okay? Anything on the pinky side, from the pinky to the elbow, controls your ability to keep the wrist straight. So that means that we can use it when we're doing wrist manipulations and things like that, okay? Now, the last class, and I'll go over it again, we went over a technique like this. Guys, do a move kind of like this in your katas. Yeah, okay. I was taught it was called augmented block. And Professor Dillman, one of his teachers, was a guy named Hohan Soken. And he said, you need two hands to fight. You and Rob fight. You don't need two hands. But if you look at the way that your hands get there, that's what we're looking at, okay? You have to remember that when you do a movement in kata, the end move is the end move. All the magic happens somewhere in the middle, okay? So the beauty is, you're training these katas over and over again to become muscle memory. So you just do your kata. That's all you've got to do. And if you do it, it will do exactly what you need it to do, okay? So, poor Kevin's gonna get his arm beat on. He's used to that, okay? So the first move we're gonna do, we're gonna use that point, okay? This hand is gonna hit here. This hand is gonna drop straight down on top of his bicep muscle, okay? Now, because wait, you guys, beat on your forearms all along. Okay? You may not feel this one, but you don't beat on your bicep muscles. Okay? And what we're doing, this is called pericardium 2. There's actually 2 points that lay right like this. So you have pericardium 2 and NUE9. Okay? I use the acupuncture nomenclature for this because you can look at any acupuncture chart and find them. Okay? A website I always recommend is one called yinyanghouse.com, and it's got all these. Yeah, it's got great charts and stuff. Okay? But I'm on that same nerve because that radial nerve comes here, crosses over, and crosses on. So I'm on the same nerve. Okay? And if you get into what I do, we use in acupuncture, they use what's called the cycle of creation, cycle of destruction, or controlling cycle. Okay? So this point here is fire, and this point here that I'm hitting is a metal point. So fire melts metal. What that tells me to map it out is that these two will hurt each other. Okay? So you have 3 different kinds of pressure points. You have where you hit the head of a nerve, where they fork into the fork, where they cross. The one where they cross is the one most people understand. Think of hooking up a car battery, touching those 2 wires and sparking them together. Okay? Your surface nerves are designed to deaden the pain about 1/3 of the way up. These go straight to his brain. Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm overloading his nervous system. And eventually, it will all shut down on me. Okay? So for this movement, all you're going to do is go just like that. His arm is a little numb, but I care more about, did you see his body reaction?
Yes.
Okay? What happens is, this hit and this hit, his body can resist one, but not both. Okay? And when you hit, this motion going this way is what folds him in. That's what I'm looking for right there. Because then you're just going to do the next move in your kata. And if you do a move right, the next one stares you right in the face. Boom, boom, boom. There is just a bunch of targets. It's like a field day right there. Okay? So what I want you to do with your partner is just drop that right down. So this one is coming straight down like this. This one is coming in this way. So my arms are just going like this. That's all I'm doing. Okay? So just like that. Sorry. If you numb out your partner, if you buzz your partner's arm or whatever, the best way to restore it is literally in massage. That's it. And if we have time at the end, I'll teach you how to fix a person's arm after you beat it up. And it fixes carpal tunnel syndrome, tendonitis of the wrist, and a few other things too. So if we have time. All right, so everybody give that a try. Start there. And we'll work from there. All right, so now you've gone this way. So we did large intestine actually. So we did large intestine 10 and pericardium 2. I usually go here. That's my go-to spot right here. It's called triple armor 5, and I love that spot. And I like this technique because I don't necessarily think of hitting with my hands. I use my whole arm to do it because if there's a saying, aim small, aim big, miss big. Okay? So I'm aiming for this really small target, but I'm using something that is going to overlap it so I don't miss. That's the important part. Okay? So now we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to do a grapple instead. We're still going to hit here, but now we're going to use that same motion because my hands are here. We're going to come underneath the arm. So right here, use his elbow, this little pocket right here. Okay, it's called hard point 2. Okay. And all I'm going to do is, if I put his elbow in the palm of my hand, my thumb will lay right on that. Now this point, if you push it straight in, you get kind of reaction, but if you push it in and pull on it, you get that face. It doesn't happen. Okay? All right. Now see, I'm only on one point right now. I'm only squeezing one point, so I'm getting marginal pain. If I add another point over here, I get more pain. If I add this one over here, I'm going to get even more pain. Okay? 1 point usually causes pain. 2 cause pain crash somewhere in the middle. Okay? And then what we've discovered is 3 points done in the right combination causes what we call neurological incapacitation. The person starts to shut down. And you can wake them back up, where it's not dangerous. Then if you do 4 points in the right combination, now you're starting to shut down an internal organ in the body, It's a little bit harder to revive them. 5 points in the right combination is fatal. But you're not going to bump, so you're not going to accidentally hit somebody on 5 points and kill them. But you're not going to bump 5 places on your body and kill each other either. And there is, so in Guyton's book, this is another thing that blew me away. In Guyton's book of medical physiology, it says that the nerve message travels up and down the nerve for up to 20 minutes based on the stimulus. So when you're hitting somebody on one of these nerves, that nerve message is traveling back and forth for up to 20 minutes. That means I have time gaps in between each point where this still will work. Okay? We've actually done studies where we hit somebody on a pressure point, waited like 5 minutes, hit them on another one, waited like another 5 minutes, and then hit them on one and made them pass out and things like that.
Is it almost like hitting the guitar string where it vibrates 440
Yes.
seconds, you know? Okay,
Actually,
all right.
different nerves do vibrate at different
Right,
frequencies
right.
and whatnot. Okay, so now when he's grabbed, you're going to thumb inserts in, and you want to kind of push the elbow up a little bit, and then hook back. Okay, and at the same time, this is all you're doing with this. Just think you're just doing this. Okay, so as I hit here and do this all at the same time. See, I get this reaction, okay? And that's still just doing that motion, it's all me. Because I have a kata called Kusan, and when we do that, we go here, and then we pull in. That tells me that I want to pull my opponent towards me. And the beauty is, so the kata also has show and tell in it, so it will tell you what the person's doing and what to do to them. It's telling you, hit them in the arm. It's mapping it out for you, it's telling you what to do. There's a lot of that in kata. There's a lot of places where it's telling you the person's trying to push you, because you can see their hands coming at you, and you're to put them down using the move. So that's another cool part. How they figured this stuff out blows my mind. I guess when you have all day to contemplate your navel, nothing else to do, it's kind of a go-to. Okay? So again, he's grabbed. You're going to hit, hook, pull. Okay? Trap.
So where do you hit it?
So I'm hitting dead center in the middle of the forearm.
So just like a...
Yeah, yeah. If I use the wrist bend as a guide, and I just let my fist go right atop it.
So it's like right before it.
It's actually about 3 fingers where my wrist bends. But I'll get it if I use my fist. And the more you work this stuff, and the more you work on different people, the better you get at finding it. So here's another application of this one. He actually hates this one. Okay. So this hand can be grabbing here, and this hand, see how I'm laying my knuckles right on that point I talked about? Now if I pull his gi top, it turns into a really fast choke. Really fast. And I don't have to reach all the way back here and do all that stuff. And it's right there. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't grab it that way. It's gonna be, I'm grabbing this, and as I'm pulling this, I'm gonna punch him there. He's probably not gonna like me, and I won't do it to Kevin because I like him. But this hand is doing this pulling motion, this is doing this. So we're still doing that same motion, see? Here, boom. And I'm rotating. Even if I come off the point, can you see where my arm is? It's right against his windpipe.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna choke him out with this. This works on the ground too, by the way. If I'm in the guard, he's on top of me in the guard, I can reach up and do this. If he's on the bottom, I can do it from there too. That's actually the worst one because he can't get away from me. He can't rotate his body. Okay? So with your partner, just real gentle. You can do this a couple different ways. If you're working with someone who has issues, heart issues, you can also get your fingers in underneath the clavicle right there. And as you pull, you can do that also. That same type of motion, which is these type of motions. So you can do that also. Okay? So try that one. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you like 10 applications for this. So you can't screw it up. When my teacher used to teach seminars, he would first thing to start every seminar, he would say, how many people have been to one of my seminars? And if a lot of people raised their hand, that meant we were going to go way out in left field with some stuff. If not a lot of people did, he would grab this guy's arm and he would go 2, 4, 6, right? Because these were the most important points with getting into the body. When we teach at our dojo, the first ones we teach are these ones around the wrist. We call it the bracelet, okay? So about 2 fingers from where the wrist bends, because pressure points that we use for combat are never where our joint is. It's always above a joint, and they're always between muscle bellies. And that's because they're the ones that lay unprotected. So you have to get a lot of techniques, actually. Your chin stance is designed to make the muscle overlap some very important nerves in the legs. I found it humorous that Okinawan karate, we have a very narrow stance, we stand chin in and all that stuff, and then they went and taught the Japanese to stand like this.
That's true.
They just expose everything, the vital ones, because you have so many, if your femoral artery gets injured or cut, you are dying very quickly. But on the outside of the leg, you can survive that, no problem. So it's kind of like a humorous joke, you know? And then, of course, the Japanese taught the Koreans to make it even wider stance. I really didn't like it. So, but, you know, I was talking with a young guy, and he said, what if the guy's like a bodybuilder? Well, if you look at the structure of the midsection, you have your abdominals and you have your obliques. There's always this crease right here. Well, there's a nerve that lays right in that crease. And what those nice people do by working so hard to build those muscles is they create a nice little channel for your knuckle to go right in there. Okay, same with other parts of your body. They actually make it easier for you to do it. Okay, so we start teaching the bracelet because we, as our students, we do a lot of enclosed stuff, if you noticed. Okay, we have, I stole this from someone, and I don't know who I stole it from, I just recently heard it. When we're here, this is a consensual violent encounter. We agree to fight each other. Kata is non-consensual. It means he attacked. It's in this range, right? My good friend Tom Countryman likes to say, when a surgeon performs brain surgery, they strap the patient to the table. They don't let them run around the room, right? So kata, if you think about it, starts as you strap them to the table. So now they're there for you to do all the things that you need to do. They're right, instead of us being this far away and having to close the distance, okay, he's right where I need him to be to do my next technique. I don't need to worry about it. And what happens is with a kata, once you figure out what those movements are, it gives you predictability as to where that person's going to be. And if you look, it's usually the next move in the kata. We always say that, you know, if you do the bunkai correctly, if you screw up one move, the next move will correct that mistake that you make, okay? So we talked about the bracelet. We already talked about lung 8. Then you have pericardium 6, okay? Then you have heart point 6. Then you have small intestine 6. Then you have triple armor 5. And then you have large intestine 6, so it's all around the wrist. So when you're grabbing and locking onto someone's wrist, you're always on a point. What you're doing is you're stopping some of the message traveling through the nerves to that hand, that arm, or whatever, which helps us when we're doing tons and tons of stuff. And we were just talking over there that I've been working on for decades now and getting kind of good at, is I will either use my thumb here on this one, or I use this bone right here on that. So that kind of a motion there, and it works. I can do it in many different ways. Sometimes it doesn't hurt. Sometimes it's just enough of a distraction that I can get to my next technique. Because if his mind, here's a great example. If he makes a fist, and don't let me bend your wrist, just throw it like boom, right? But if he's doing that and I touch right there, I can bend that wrist. But if he thinks about it, and he knew I was going to do it, if he really focuses right there, okay, so focus right there, right? I can't bend that wrist, but if I go up one higher, he wasn't focused there. His mind was here, okay? So distraction techniques work really well when you're trying to do these too, because the person's trying to resist this and you go somewhere else. One of my students, big, huge guy, he was 6'8", 385 pounds. This one on the jaw worked beautiful on him. But over time, he started anticipating that I was going to do it to him. Because every time somebody would come in the dojo, I want to see what you do. I'm like, well, come here. And I would hit him on stomach 5. And then one day somebody came in and I hit him on the forehead on this one. And he went out. And when I woke him up, he goes, you usually hit me here. I go, yeah, and we're learning to anticipate it now, so I had to go somewhere else. Because he started anticipating it, so he wasn't consciously trying to screw me up, but he was starting to unconsciously resist it, okay? So we use it a lot when we're doing techniques, okay? especially when we're grappling. So now, he's on here, okay? And one of the things we drill our students all the time, what's the weapon? What's the weapon? Is this the weapon? That's the weapon. That's what I have to worry about right there, right? So normally, there's a point right here called low 5 that works really good. His elbow will bend and his knee will buckle. But if he's got this up, wanting to punch me, I'm just driving that fist right in my face. But you also notice it didn't work that well. Put your arm down. Worked great. Put your arm up. Doesn't work as well. When he lifts his hand, I have to go to the outside of his arm. Isn't that interesting? But look at that weapon, it's now away from me. Took that into account, okay? So you're always looking at what's the weapon? What's the weapon? So now, if you look, we're gonna do this, you're gonna hit that long large intestine 10, and this hand is either compensating for this or it's striking as his head comes in, okay? For this drill, all I want you to do, you're gonna hit this, and at the same time, you're just gonna drive that hand into his chest to take that out of the equation, okay? Track. One of the things that you want to do when you're studying this is you start looking at these pressure points. They lay in what we call dermatomes, lines. You start looking, mapping it out, right? So there's actually a line of points. So there's one called the mental nerve, there's one called stomach 5, triple armor 17, gallbladder 20. You look, they're in a straight line. Then there's right smack down the middle, okay? First one we're going to do is right there, okay? It's a conception point. Now this one here, you can hit it, you can do all kinds of stuff to it. One of my favorite techniques to do is simply rub like that. Okay? Now be careful if somebody like you have braces, be careful, right? But this is a great technique. This is a great technique because if he's grabbed a hold of me, we call these idiot grabs, by the way. He's grabbed me with 2 hands. He's left me with both my hands and my feet free. That's smart, right? So this just comes up and goes like that, and he goes away. Trying to resist it too. But if I want to really control him, he grabs, I'm back behind his head. Now he can't get his head away. Okay? That's me. If I'm thinking kata application, there it is, head sandwich. And he's going to go down. Okay? So with your partners, very nicely, get your knuckles in there and just go back and forth this way. And you'll feel it. It's just a quick rub, and their head will go back. Okay? That's good. That works.
Push on hands.
We go sneeze. Right? We call it the hip.
No.
Right up here. The philtrum point.
Oh, yes.
Okay? And again, it's got to go this way. Right? If you do this, he'll get annoyed, but it doesn't really work. But if I go upwards to the top of his head, he wants to go away. Okay? So think of any technique that hits like that. That's a really good point. A lot of people know that. Okay? But if we come over here, he's got it mapped out beautifully. Okay? Right here, there's a hole in your skull called the foramen. It's called the mental foramen. You have the infraorbital foramen and the supraorbital foramen. There's 3 holes in your skull in a straight line. And there's a nerve that sticks out of each and every one of these. This one right here, this one has a beautiful effect. This is the one a lot of boxers get, and that's when they knock somebody out, right? And if I do that, you see he turns his head away. But the thing that this one does is it releases the neck. So if I'm trying to crank somebody's head, I'm trying to move somebody's head, if I'm trying to move his head and he resists, see, he can resist pretty good. But if I dig my knuckle in there, there's no resistance whatsoever.
Chiropractic adjustment.
His head will snap around. So I want my fingers to go there all the time into that technique, which you can also hit it in many different ways, but it releases that neck, which is beautiful, totally beautiful, okay? So with your partner, what you want to do, you can do this a couple different ways. Some people like to use the knuckle. I like this bone right here. This bone just seems to always work. Plus, I get this gripping action, right? So when I do it, I put my knuckle there and I squeeze in with my hand, and that gets me that point. Okay? So instead of me trying to push with my knuckle, I squeeze it into my knuckle and it works a lot better. Okay, so try this one. It's right where the mustache ends, or where it would end, right here on the jawbone, and in towards the body this way. And so you just squeeze right in, and you'll feel it. Give it a try. A couple different ways you can do this. Here, right? So you have this one, and then this one's one we don't play with either, because your pituitary gland is right back behind there. And believe it or not, that's where those punches go. That's a bad day for him. Okay, so you got that straight line. Now we're working on this straight line right here. Okay, so you come underneath the cheekbone. There's that pocket underneath the cheekbone also. The way you push on this one is that way. Angle and direction is a lot with pressure points. Some of the points, if you push them one way, they don't hurt, but if you just change the way you push on it, it hurts. Mainly because what I'm doing is I'm taking that nerve and I'm mushing it on that bone right there. Now, sometimes we talk about, when we train, we talk about body anatomy and reading people's anatomy. If we have one kid at the dojo, I call him, he's got supermodel cheekbones. I'm like, oh, you were getting punched there. Supermodel cheekbones.
Oh, no.
I'm like, you were getting punched there. Okay? And if, like, Kevin had, like, what I call the Cro-Magnon knick-knack shelf, you know, the eyebrows that come all the way out to here, I would punch them up underneath there. So you start looking at those because you're taking that nerve, you're stretching it out, and then you're compressing it against the bone. Okay? So this one here is up and in this way. Now, it's kind of a weird one because it's not going to come into play when we have an issue with something called polarity, positive and negatives in the body, and it's really kind of complicated, and I don't want to, it's hard to explain it in a seminar, but when the person's holding on to you, it doesn't come into play, okay? So you want the person to grab you. So when you grab you, all you're going to do, put your thumbs underneath there and up and back like that. You could strike up underneath it really bad. A lot of times people struggle with this one because my angle changes as his head moves. So if I want to push on it this way, as his head tilts back, now you can see the angle starting to go down that way. Yeah. Which is the direction I want his head to go anyways. So what happens is I just follow his head. Okay? And look, he can't see anything I'm doing. Right there. Okay? If you punched up underneath there, it really sucks. I've had somebody do it to me and it sucks. Really bad. Okay? But it's a great, somebody's grabbed a hold of you and you want them off of you fast. Right? I teach a lot of head points because if you look, no one grabs you like this. Raw. They all grab you and pull you in. Yeah. Or they grab you and they pull you in. You know, you see it in seminars, people practice defenses against front chokes. They're choking a person like this. Frankenstein choke you. They do, we call it the Frankenstein. That's not how they choke you. Pull you right in. Well, now I don't need to worry about the arms. Because the whole point of the arms is I want this. It brings it to me every single time. And now he's giving it to me. And I have a friend who's from Tennessee that does this stuff, and he says, never look a gift head in the mouth. He goes, let's see if I can repeat this. Smacking and whacking begets snatching and grabbing, and snatching and grabbing begets smacking and whacking. That's redneck for grab him and hit him, or hit him and grab him.
I like the translation.
So, have your partner grab your gig, and then just put your thumbs on it. You'll feel it. When you put your thumbs in it, you'll feel that little hole, and just push back and down. And you can see I've got all these different moves I can do in here, and all these things you can do here. There's a few other things you can do that he won't let me. Okay, so give this one a try. The small intestine's 18.
Hi.
This videotape and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, listen up. We're gonna wrap up this seminar, so just remember, these are nice tools that you can put in your box, use. Now you get a little bit that you can play with. Go back to the dojo, be safe with it, and just try to remember as much as you can with it. And you can always draw on me if you need, if you have any questions about any of it. And I'm still training with Grandmaster, so it's just a constant thing where, what he teaches me, I'll pass it on to you guys. Okay? All right. So I think we're getting ready for the graduation ceremony. So, we're almost at the last leg of this nice weekend. It's too bad it's over, but, it's got to end sometime. But we'll pick it up some other day. All right. Thank you very much.